Hey guys, so welcome to part 5 of Witchcraft in the Family. I gotta admit, I'm tired as fuck, but I'm going to finish this part 5 of the video, and might possibly be a part 6, who knows. But it's almost over, I promise. So for anybody that has made it this far to this video, I just want to say that I really appreciate you for taking the time to listen, and that right there is a sign of support. So I just want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. So where I left off was where I had mentioned about my father bringing my uncle over to sleep over, his brother, by the way, because of him being a taxi driver and working all these long hours, uh, which was much more safer than for him to go back all the way from Suffolk County. Yeah, it's a long drive, also depending on the traffic. So it was a bit convenient, and this would happen, not frequently, but every now and then. And I did also mention how my mom was missing a few of her nursing items. So that one morning, after my uncle had slept over, he left, and he left behind a big black trash bag where my mom was really curious of wondering why would he just leave that there. So she decides to go inside the trash bag. And lo and behold, it's all of the items that she's been missing. Now, for anybody within the spiritual community or who practices, do understand that when personal items are missing and then you find them, most chances are that person done took your shit, done took your personal item and brought it over to somebody who practices, where now they are either trying to harness the energy that you have in that item, or they're trying to put something in it. So then once when you get it back, okay, things just start going to shit. So, which is eventually what ended up happening to my mom. So, while my father was the breadwinner, mom was applying to these jobs and she was not getting hired, and that was fucking with her faith. Oh, in case I didn't mention, my mother's a Christian. So, while she is very committed to her faith, um, there comes a hindrance due to her not finding any work. And that caused her to spaz out. Yeah, I'm talking about like this woman was in a high level of emotional distress. Okay, she just felt like she wasn't getting anywhere, like she was stagnant. And because she felt like God was testing her faith so badly, she decides to rip the Bible in half. I never thought my mother would do something like that, but yeah, I literally saw that with my own two eyes. Then she tried to off herself by consuming lots of liqueurs, okay, like peach schnapps, or yeah, there's like another variation of liqueurs, but she tried to drink herself to you know what by drinking liqueurs. And yeah, poor woman, she was very, very depressed, and I have a feeling why. And the funny thing is, it just seemed like there was no peace under that roof. It was either my parents bickering back and forth, my mother and I bickering back and forth, and so on. But now to fast forward all of that, where then the house burns down, and all thanks to my dad. Now I just want to clarify this real quick, because I did mention how we were living in an apartment, and also how I did mention that my father burned down the house. That is because, yeah, it is really a house that the landlord decided to rent out the upstairs section as an apartment. So while my mother and I were the first people to leave the apartment, my father was the last. And before he wanted to walk out of the apartment, he decides to light up a cigarette by turning on the stove, but forgets to turn it off. And it was a gas stove. Yeah, so then about like a couple of hours later, we heard that the house was on fire. And I thought that was all a joke. Yeah, when I came back from school, walking on my way back to the apartment building, I was devastated. Where I could remember at the time, I was frantic. I was running right towards the building and seeing the windows that were boarded with wood, and there was like soot, surrounding around the window sill. And yeah, I really couldn't believe that shit really happened, but it did. Yo, for real, what used to be the dining room floor was no longer existent. We could see right through the downstairs apartment. Now, good thing was, even though that place went on fire, there were a number of things that were salvageable, but the smell of smoke, it was really hard to eliminate, where we ended up having to get bars of soap and putting them in our suitcases just to eliminate that odor. Fast forward to after the fire, where then American Red Cross is now sending us to a shelter at the YMCA in Flushing, Queens. I forgot what floor exactly that was, but yeah, where we seemed to have our own rooms. I had my own room, my father had his. It was just down the hall. I remember one weekend. So, this is when I had finished my classes for the week. I was tired. I just kind of wanted a weekend to myself. And my father was asking me if I could come over to my aunt's place. Now, this is because my cousin, she had issues with her car that she was driving back then. And my father, when it comes to my cousins, his sister's daughters, mind you, it's like, okay, if they were to tell him to jump, he would ask how high. Yeah, and my father was asking me to come with him, and I said no. I was tired, and I had homework. But guess what he decides to do? He lies to me by saying that we're going someplace local, and I told him I wouldn't have a problem going with him. But then turning out that it was a trick, because then he's driving on his way into the highway, and here I am having a fucking panic attack because you could have at least told me that we were going there so I could have a change of clothes. But no, he decides to force me against my own free will by taking me over to his sister's place. Yeah, and while my father was driving in that highway and I was having a fucking panic attack, he had a smirk on his face. That's when I started to realize the kind of person my father really was. I still was very decisive that I wanted nothing to do with the family. And for my father to force me out of my own free will by tricking me to telling me that we're going somewhere local, but then to be driving on our way to my fucking aunt's place, which is a long drive, by the way. But my father's a severe piece of shit for doing that to me. I just did not have a good feeling about it. Okay, like I could feel it within my gut. And by the time when I did arrive over there, of course, the petty shit that I deal with in my father's side of the family, which is mainly the reasons why I would rather just distance myself from these stuck up bitches. I fucking mean that. I had to deal with my fucking bitch cousin, my aunt's first child. Okay, where she just had found out that the father of her twins cheated on her and she had to move back in with her mom. Which yeah, I do recall when I was over there that she was saying some shit about me in Creole, talking about how I'm just fucking out of it. Okay, you fucking bitch. So, as you can hear, I dislike my father's side of the family, and I have every right to, because I really believe those people are some cluster B type motherfuckers. Either narcissistic or gotta be some antisocial motherfuckers. And I will probably continue that into the next video, because really, I'm getting really sleepy. Yeah, so I'm going to end the video from here and stay tuned for part 6. Good night. I'm actually considering about remaking this video, but for the meantime, at least just to keep the ball rolling, was to make sure I came out with this video. But I will be going through with part 6 pretty soon. And as you can see in my face, yeah, I'm really tired. So I'm calling this a night. I love you guys. Until next time, bye.